was about to say, that should work. Also, clearly didn't update the webcam. What was I doing this entire time? Just staring at the screen, you know. Normal stuff. Webcam. La-da, need a webcam that saves its settings for one day. Well, enough of that. There we go. Cool. Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Viper's Viperland, and we are back. First non-Monster Hunter game since starting Monster Hunter Wilds. Because, you know, I feel like it's time for Great Ace Attorney. Also because we're on what I believe to be the final case, and yeah, I'm excited and ready. So let's see how it goes tonight. 2nd November, 8:56 a.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. Also, just realized earlier today, the week before Wilds came out, during that week, excuse me, I went out and got stamps, you know, for selling cards. And I still had like a thing and a half left. Oh no, about a thing left. All that's left is 4 stamps. So I gotta hit up the post office tomorrow. Stamps be going quick. Cards be selling, which ain't a bad thing. I still haven't hit level 4 yet. As soon as we hit level 4, the card sales will go up. The reason card sales go up drastically when you hit level 4 is because you can offer people free shipping, but free shipping on orders over $5. So in all likelihood, somebody will grab like a $2 card and go, well, if I grab more from the same person, I'll get $5. Or I'll save $5. I'll save on shipping, and yeah. So hopefully that'll work too. I've also crossed like 6,000 cards listed, and I still have quite a bit to go. I've got all the smaller sets. It's all the bigger chunks left I gotta go. There's that old familiar feeling again. Crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no. It's a little different today. There's an even more menacing tension in the air. There is a menacing tension in the air here today, isn't there, I suppose? Huh? Yes, I think so. It can only be the result of the menacing appearance of the defendant. A little more courtesy, if you please. Oh my! I do apologize. However, you're certainly not mistaken that this trial is far from ordinary. What do you mean? I'm not privy to the details. However, I understand that no jury has been selected. That sounds skewed against us. Trial without a jury? Well, that's just like the trial of the professor 10 years ago. A closed court. Good morning, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes. Have you made note of my hair, Mr. Naruhodo? An outright victory for science, you must agree. Sure, to be perfectly honest, so much happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. Ah, what to one man is a little hair problem, is to another a day of drinking dubious potion after dubious potion. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning. Sounds like a skill issue? Oh dear, how awful for you. I'm afraid you only have yourself to blame, Mr. Sholmes. And good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to see you looking so full of vim. And you. I see London's celebrated great detective is as active as ever. Oh, you exaggerate, my dear fellow. Compared to my paltry engagements with a few trivial cases, the Reaper's overbearing presence is a far greater deterrent to the black roots of crime in our capital. And whilst I may not agree with your methods, there is at least one point on which I would readily commend you. What an honor, and that would be your eye for a good lawyer, sir. But, Mr. Sholmes, after all, behind this lawyer there is a very great mind, my own. What are you trying to say? I wish only to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, Mr. Reaper. The only thing I have to praise you on is your choice of a lawyer, and the only reason I'm praising you on your choice of a lawyer is because he's my friend. Cool. Thanks, Sholmes. Thanks. Sorry to barge in. Gina! What's that on her arm? It's a mourning band, I suppose? Father, shouldn't you be at the symposium? It's been postponed, so I have some free time. I decided to come along with the police inspector to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. I shall be very interested to see the fruits of your studies over the past year. Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's hope there are some fruits to see. Odo? Oh, yes, Gina? Why did you agree to this, eh? Why'd you take him on? This Reaper bloke. Everyone says it was him what killed the boss. I'm sorry, Gina, but I just don't believe that. Well, if it weren't him, who was it? I don't know that yet. I don't care who calls him what. The Reaper's just a name. It's just a person at the end of the day. And if it turns out that it was him what killed the boss, God help him. You know? Bear. Fiery eyes indeed. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing. At least that may be some solace to the deceased. Please, Odo. I can talk, it's hard to chat while fighting tempered archroads. Yes, slightly. Just a little. Get whoever did this. For the boss. Oh, Gina. I hate feeling this useless. There's nothing I can do. So you gotta find who done this and make the wretch pay. That's the whole goal, isn't it? Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court will be in session shortly. Make your way to the courtroom at once, please. Alright then, here we go. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. Lord Van Zieks. Well, here we go. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you can also just make the lower tier weapons and then just trash those, but that's a much slower and probably less useful way of doing it. But you can. One who lost his treasured brother to a mass murderer. One who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. Yeah, also that. Yeah, I did one of them, and it was like, I can't remember what part it was. It was a common part, and it was just like 3 out of 106, and it was like, wait, what? What? So yeah, I'm gonna need a few too. I have not been working on them. The hunts I was doing were with like Calico and Afro, just kind of cleaning up their lists of stuff. Though they are in high rank, so I was still getting bits. And one who lost the man who helped her escape destitution. All that misfortune, all that pain, on course to collide headlong in this trial. It's time to shine a light in all these dark events. And whatever truth is revealed, we're going to have to look it straight in the eye. You know, stare down the truth. I mean, I guess if you need a quick Tempered Archvelds done, there's always, I don't know if Pecco's doing it with a group or a solo, but I know Pecco is exclusively farming Tempered Archvelds, I believe. Last I checked, it could have changed. 2nd November, 9:20 a.m., the Old Bailey Courtroom. Yep, that is a no jury. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We're here to conduct the fair and just trial of the defendant Barak Van Zieks. Yep, all of these trials have always been fair and just. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to begin? The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Oh, Kazuma-sama. Oh, okay, gotcha. I mean, why not? Longsword, weeb stick with everyone, yeah. I'm wishing to see you in court again for so long, it feels. I never pictured it happening like this. I never thought I'd be facing you behind the prosecution's bench. The so-called Reaper of the Bailey has been a scourge like no other, undermining Her Majesty's justice system. Today, we must uncover the truth behind this scourge. In other words, this trial is going to be a lot more far-reaching than Inspector Gregson's murder. The truths revealed by these proceedings may have unpredictable repercussions throughout the judiciary. Accordingly, they are to be conducted as a closed trial with no members of the public present, by Her Majesty's direct orders. Yeah, why not? It works. How will that work, my lord? The burden of all arbitration and adjudication falls on my shoulders. Adjudication, sorry. Therefore, as you will see, the jurors' bench shall remain vacant today. If no members of the public are present, might I ask who is currently occupying the gallery, my lord? There are members of the judiciary here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial. Members of the judiciary? Oh my, this is a very unusual trial already. There is of course another unprecedented aspect to these proceedings on which I must elaborate. The counsels for the prosecution and the defense are both aliens of Great Britain. I believe it takes an outsider to see the truth sometimes, but as I stand here in this courtroom now, I'm quite certain this is the reason why I had to come to Britain. Cosima. Well, let us commence proceedings. Prosecutor Asogi, your opening statement, if you please. Certainly, my lord. The incident took place on 1st November at just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The location was a building of flats on Fresno Street on the outskirts of the city. The victim's body was discovered there in an old single-room rental property. Yes, Inspector Tobias Gregson, a name known very well indeed to this court. Not least for his miraculous resolution of one of this country's grimiest cases 10 years ago. Professor case. How sure are you about the time of the incident? Several witnesses on the street outside heard the gunshot, and all have reported the same time. Yes, that's what Gina told us too. There were a number of witnesses. I have here a plan of the room. The victim was found curled up in one corner. It's believed that he was shot from the front at point-blank range and died instantaneously. How has the range been determined? There were scorch marks around the entry wound. Such marks are caused by the gunpowder used to fire the bullet. But powder hot enough to leave scorch marks is only ejected a few inches beyond the end of the barrel. In other words, it only happens when the target is at point-blank range. I see, yes. Thank you for the detailed explanation, counsel. The autopsy report has been entered into the court record. The murder weapon was found lying beside the victim. A normal place to leave a murder weapon. And have you managed to ascertain the owner of this firearm? No, my lord. Not conclusively. Bravo, Kazuma-sama, for not trying to use the gun as evidence when its provenance can't be proven. Furthermore, my lord, as I've explained, the revolver was fired at extremely close range. The bullet passed through the victim and struck the wall behind him. There's a candelabrum mounted on that wall, and the tip of one of the candles in it was found to have been blown off by the projectile. We noticed that too, didn't we? Yes, that's right. Thank you for the thorough report, counsel. The setting of the crime is clear to me. You will submit the plan of the crime scene as evidence, please. As you wish, my lord. The crime scene floor plan has been entered into the court record. Is this Fresno Street room Inspector Gregson's private abode? No, my lord. The room is rented to a Mr. Hugh Boone. But there's precious little furniture inside, and is generally in a poor state of repair. So what on earth was Gregson even doing there? Excuse me. Presumably he was investigating some case or other. When a policeman was informed of the gunshot from the witnesses and rushed to the scene, he found only the deceased inspector and the accused standing alongside, holding the revolver. Sorry, nose. Getting a bit warmer, which is nice, but the second temperatures start to fluctuate, my nose is just like, screw you. Let's be honest, at any time of any day, my nose just decides, screw you. The attending officer arrested the accused on the spot. So, the details of the case are clear. In that case, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. A name, please, counsel. Naturally. The accused himself. Lord Van Zeeks! As a prosecutor, he believes in the oath of office he's taken and will be compelled to tell the truth. Very well, let the defendant take the witness's stand. Well, I mean, okay, if he's compelled to tell the truth, just ask, did you kill him? So, witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Beric Van Zeeks, Old Bailey prosecutor. I presume, Lord Van Zeeks, that you heard Prosecutor Asogi's opening presence? I did. It is alleged that you were found at the scene of the crime, that you were arrested by the arriving police officer. Can you confirm this? Yes, my lord. Then I'm sure the court would like to hear you explain some things away, namely, why you were there in the room on Fresno Street at the time in question, and what exactly took place. I intend to explain away nothing. I will simply tell the truth. I must say, Lord Van Zeeks, I never imagined this day would come. Or rather, I didn't want to imagine it would come. But since you became known as the Reaper, part of me has been dreading it. Your formal testimony then, witness. Facts of the incident. I was investigating Gregson, and my inquiries had led me to that address. When I first entered the room that day, it was dark inside, and I saw no one. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Just as I picked up the firearm to examine it, the door flew open, and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. That is a fast turnaround on police response time? That testimony was the whole truth? It was. So, you heard a shot being fired in a room with no living occupants. Hey! Oh, jeez. How you doing, Seven? Welcome to Piperland in the chat. Holy... Oh, Batman. 92
Happy
months.
69 plus 23 heckin' months.
69 plus 23, yes. The ideal number. Congrats on the fish, obviously. And welcome to Viperland in the chat. Thank you for a boatload of months. Jeez, the fact that people are approaching 100 months is difficult to wrap my mind around. Over 10 was difficult to wrap my mind around. The fact that it's hit 90 is wild. I hope you're having a good weekend. Hope your weekend's been going good. Hopefully, you know, some good hunting of monsters and some good RNG. I don't know if you need anything left. I haven't glanced at your set, but I imagine you're doing okay for gear. So I don't know if there's much left you're needing, but hopefully the Desire Sensor spares you if you do need to grind anything, you know. So you heard a shot be- oh, I read that. Doing fine gear-wise. I kind of assumed, yeah. But good to hear, still. I mean, in theory, we got, what, 2 weeks till Mizu? Give or take? Maybe, yeah, about 2 weeks probably. I think it was supposed to be late May, or late March, early April, so. Getting Monster Hunt numbers up for titles. True! The titles, and just preparing extra materials in case, you know, I want to swap weapons is what I'm going to end up doing. I do need to finish the armors, but that'll happen. Fair. I imagine Bo would do that, yeah. being able to break a ton of wounds quickly, not a shabby thing. And moments later, a corpse somehow appeared before your eyes. Is that it? You're right. You haven't explained away anything. In fact, that would barely qualify as an excuse. I thought you were my mute apprentice. Yet it turns out you have a way with words, Prosecutor Asogi. It would appear to be a singular tale indeed. Singular isn't the word, it's laughable. What's got into Kazuma? He's not behaving like himself at all. I mean, yeah, Heartbreaker's always going to be nice. Heartbreaker's good, but I prefer the skill that just rips open more wounds and makes you do more damage to wounds. Sucker for that one. Neil. Oh yeah, true. I seem to not get that one too often, but gotta love it when you get it. Very well then. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Don't really know what we're looking for, but guess we'll try. The facts of the incident again. I can't imagine any contradiction there. You're investigating the inspector. What on earth for? I'm not at liberty to say. Sorry? I'd identified a distinct possibility that Gregson was involved in a case I was investigating. Regrettably, though, he was killed before I could secure the proof I needed. It's the court to understand, then, that on the day in question, you followed the victim to the scene. No, I was privy to his movements in advance. How? I stole into his office in the yard and consulted his diary. The address on Fresno Street was noted in the 5 p.m. entry. You illegally entered the man's office. In Japan, that alone would constitute a very serious offense. As it does in Great Britain, I assure you. Is that not the case, Lord Van Zieks? I was aware of the possible consequences. So, in summary, you were investigating the victim, and yet, you refused to tell the court why. I didn't realize British prosecutors enjoyed such freedom to choose what to divulge under oath. You can break more wounds. Obviously, clearly, yeah. I mean, what's the point of streaming if I'm not just using you guys to further my own hunting gains? Clearly. Why did I ever think I could defend this man? Also, we don't even have that much evidence here, dude. Whoops. Red-Headed League article. I can't imagine that being relevant to this testimony, but who knows. Photograph of Mr. Vigil. Letter of introduction. Dismissal notice. Photographic print. Miss Vigil. Revolver. That way. Policeman figure. Red hairpiece. Album. Gregson's photograph. Autopsy report. Last Gregson male, age 45, nationality British, time of death. Didn't it say around 5 p.m.? Why is there nothing written there? He said it was about 5 p.m. Weird that it's empty. Cause of death, victim was shot in the chest at close range from the front, resulting in instant death. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet exited the body from behind. Additional observations: the candelabra of the gun, or the caliber of the gun used, matched that of standard issue firearms for members of the judiciary. Crime scene floor plan. I don't think there's much we can gain from that. Besides just who it is. Okay. Okay, so that's what we're working with.
Hold it!
Have you ever been to the address before? No, never. I only learned of the place as a result of my investigations into Gregson's activities. There was no light inside when I entered, so it was all but impossible to make out anything. But at 5 p.m., the sun would only just have gone down. It still have been reasonably light outside. Opens up higher. Or I could just lower that a switch. Aha! The room has a window, but it was boarded shut. Very little light found its way into the room from outside, so it was extremely murky inside. I wouldn't have noticed if the victim was already lying on the floor. There was no artificial light in the room, you say? You're quite sure? I'm quite sure that the part of the room where the body was found was very dark. I have a feeling there was a small oil lamp burning on the desk, though. I couldn't say for certain. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. There is a small desk in the room just here. Yes, I remember. And there was an oil lamp on it, as well as the framed photograph. Excuse me. When I entered the room, I closed the door behind me and started towards the desk to investigate. And what did you find? Nothing. I never actually reached the desk. Yeah, that would make it difficult. So the thing is, we know that there was a candelabra behind it, but do we know that it was lit? I don't think we do. One of the tops is blown off, but that doesn't indicate whether it was lit at the time or not. Except maybe it does, because if that was blown off there, these are lower, which implies that if all three were lit, which I would assume is how you'd light a candelabra, maybe I'm mistaken, that that amount of wax time passed between it getting shot and the candles being blown out. So, but I still don't know if that'll help us right now.
Hold it!
Oop. So, who fired the gun? I have no idea. I didn't see anybody else in the room. Would a bullet make charred marks? You know, it had already passed through a person. Maybe it's supposed to be blood, and they were like, no. You say it was very dark in there. Yes, that's right. So I don't know. So I'm not sure. It could be intentional. It could be just that's what they were like. Yeah, it's a bullet that shot it at. Like, I don't know. We'll see. All I can tell you is I didn't sense another's presence. There was no power levels of sufficient threat around me. Aha! Then could it be that the gunshot actually originated from somewhere outside the room? No, that's out of the question. Oh. Without doubt, the sound emanated. Here we go. From inside the room, I could smell the gunpowder. Ugh, this is going from bad to worse. Would you say that's the point at which you noticed the revolver on the floor? Correct, and I foolishly picked it up. It was carelessness on my part. Presumably then, the gunshot you heard came from the firearm that you somewhat hastily took in your hands. In point of fact, my lord, I believe it did not. What? The barrel of the revolver I picked up was cold, and there was no smell of spent powder. But then, where on earth is the gun that was fired? Whilst I would like to oblige you with an answer, I'm afraid I can't. I too would dearly like to know that. Ugh. Yeah, you know, understand.
Hold it!
A man, you say? One of the witnesses, I presume? That's right. One of the street merchants working on Fresno Street. Who are these merchants? A number of them had set up their stalls directly beneath the boarded window of the crime scene. A match seller, a newsmonger, and a peddler. They've all given statements saying that they heard the gunshot, and without thought of danger, they ran inside to see what had happened. Yes, Juna told us about that yesterday, didn't she? They burst through the door with some force, it would seem. They did, and almost gave me a heart attack in the process. But you're supposed to be the Reaper. The first man, coming immediately, noticed the revolver in my hand and fled. A policeman patrolling on Fresno Street heard the commotion and was able to arrest the accused shortly after the incident occurred. Anyway, the man's scream drew my attention in that direction.
Hold it!
I mean, Candelabra's gotta be the only point so far. What do you mean by that? In what way did the body appear? Honestly, can't explain it, but it's the truth. As far as I was concerned, the body hadn't been there until that point, and then suddenly, there it was. Did you perhaps hear the sound of the victim falling to the ground just beforehand? At that moment, what I heard was the sound of the door flying open, the scream of the man who came inside first, nothing more. I see. After the man fled, I examined the body. I was stunned to find that it was Gregson. Most curious circumstances indeed. How the inspector was killed, or how his body seemed to appear out of nowhere, I have no idea.
Objection!
What? Surely the court has heard enough. My lord, the cross-examination has clearly revealed that the accused, Barrick von Zieks, is lying on multiple fronts. What? What is that supposed to mean? Good gracious, counsel. The defendant is lying, you say? In his testimony just now, he claims that he failed to notice the victim's body because the room was dark. That's correct. No, that's impossible. It's proven by this candelabrum. Damn it! How does that prove anything? If you examine the tip of the long candle, you can see it has been blown off by a powerful impact. One would assume that the projectile from the firearm passed through the victim and struck the candle. The problem comes when we consider the other two candles, which are clearly of a different length. Yes, I can see that only the candle that appears to have been struck by the bullet is long. We could reasonably expect that someone to have lit all three candles together. Damn it, so I was right about that. And it is being used against me. Which begs the question of why only one has ended up longer than the others. That must be because that particular candle was extinguished when the others were still burning. That's right. When the candle was hit by the bullet, it obviously went out. The other two candles would still have been burning, so the fact is, the victim's body would have been illuminated by the light still thrown by the candelabrum, and the accused's claim that he couldn't see the body clearly contradicts those facts. And now, to the next lie. There's more? The accused also claims never to have visited the scene of the crime before. That's the truth. In that almost empty room, the police discovered something very unusual. A board covered from top to bottom in police documents and newspaper cuttings. Yes, that's right. We saw it too. It goes without saying, the contents of the police documents cannot be divulged. However, they included a number of reports from various historical cases, the oldest of which was from 10 years ago. 10 years ago? This is starting to sound familiar. And there's a common thread linking all of the documents on that board. Indeed, what is that common thread, counsel? They all relate to cases prosecuted in court by Baron von Zieks. All of them? And furthermore, all of these cases are ones which the defendant was acquitted. Good Lord! Interestingly, none of the defendants are alive today, because all of them have been sent to their graves by the Reaper. Oh no! In short, that dingy little room is the Reaper's secret hideout and his base of operations. The Reaper's hideout? Yet the Reaper would claim never to have been to his own secret hideout? No one would believe that. No, The truth is, we've been looking at this backwards. Backwards? Explain, Counsel. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hands. What? What? That seems unlikely? Order! 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 Very well. I hereby state the current opinion of the court. Barak von Zieks is an outstanding prosecutor who has rendered great service to his country. However, it is with deep regret that I must concur with Prosecutor Asogi's contention that the defendant's testimony exhibits a number of stark inconsistencies with the known facts. All I have done is state the truth as I know it. Rasmus has done a brilliant job as ever. Where's the monsters? Being hunted? He's drawing on his experience as a defense attorney to build his prosecution case. It's formidable. Also, Azor, how's it going? Welcome to Viper in the chat. We'll have monsters tomorrow, don't worry. Counsel, you will submit the board that you just showed the court as evidence. I believe it to be fundamental in establishing the facts surrounding the Reaper's existence. Thank you, my lord. The note board has been entered in the court record. Well, of course you're going to call him a witness, but I want to see the board. There are details of a whole raft of cases dating back years in here, aren't there? This paper from 10 years ago is browning with age. Look. Out of interest, the most recent thing appears to be this newspaper cutting here. Oh, it's the same red-headed league advertisement that Mr. Shelms had picked up. And do you remember? There was a red hairpiece at the scene, too. Is Inspector Gregson an exponent of the red-headed league, then? Oh, well, I'm sure that's going to be important. Oh, what's this? Mr. Naruto, look! Oh yes, it's a smudge of some kind. In fact, it looks just like a handprint. And the color, that's blood, isn't it? Oh dear, how disturbing. Details of the notice board have been updated in the court record. Yeah, clearly. Some you fight in court, you know. It all checks out. And now the prosecution would like to call new witnesses to the stand. Witnesses who saw events unfold on the day in question. They were mentioned in the previous testimony too, if you remember. Yeah, I do. Yes, the street sellers who heard the gunshot and went running into the room. Very well, lead the witnesses in. The defendant may step down from the witnesses stand. Certainly, my lord. Some familiar faces. Or a familiar face. So, witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Names? We don't use names. Far too fancy for the likes of us. We're just free and easy. Sell what we like, live where we want to live. I gave them all a vacant stares and walked down Fresno and spent a few words in verse with them. Ah. Would I be right in assuming that all three of you make a living by selling wares on the street? Everyone calls me Gossip. I sell jaunty little tidbits to passers-by, you know. Jaunty little tidbits. Got an absolute smasher for you, sir. Right up your gentle it is. 6 pence is the price and not a penny less. Wait, you're actually trying to sell it to me now? Now, come on, sir. Don't tell me you're not interested. Buy the man. Give him the money and see what it is. Pay the man, counsel. Alright, 6 pence it is. You won't regret it, sir. Now, get your listening ears on. Just between us, a young couple on Slay Street have just had twins. Thanks. Is that it? No, that's not it. It's gossip, isn't it? He wants the spread, but that bit's up to you in your mouth, of course. Got more, you know. Want another juicy one? 6 pence apiece it is, if you're curious. I am curious, yes, about what's going on just under that bottom lip of yours. Namely that unusual bruise, or whatever it is that's poking out from under your collar. What about the next witness, then? What name do you go by and what do you sell? Me, I'm Venus. That's what everyone calls me. Funny, isn't it? I sell these lovely little fireworks to all the local school kids. That definitely don't sound like a gunshot at all, and give off a scent of gunpowder. Not even a little. Nope. Definitely not. Cool. 6 pence a pop. What do you say? Will it pop? Will it just stay there forever? Also, who lights a firework on their ass? I guess Venus. You weren't exaggerating with little. They actually sell? Oh yeah, the second years can't get enough of my Venus firecrackers. Especially when I tell them that if they get 100, they could blow up the school. Not the most savory of ideas, young lady. What did we say then, huh? Want to part with 6 pence for a pop? Wait, what? You want me to buy one? Tell you what, I'll let you in on a little secret. If you get 100 of them, you could blow up the whole courtroom. Try the woman. Give her the money and see if she's right. Hey, the woman, counsel. Alright, I'll buy one. Lovely stuff. Right then, this is something a bit extra, just for you. The Venus Special. Only 600 pence. 600? It's 100 of my regular fireworks. Nothing little about that, is there? There'd be nothing little about the punishment if I blew up the Old Bailey, either. Venus Special Firecracker consisting of 100 smaller firecrackers at 6 pence each. What sort of bang could it make? And the last witness. What name do you go by and what do you sell? Can't find anything out of place. Okay, well thanks. Have you had an idea, Mr. Naruhodo? You're staring at the end of the string of fireworks. Sorry, it's just that it's the Venus Special. I was wondering what 600 pence worth of fireworks would sound like. Shall we find out? What? But she said it could blow up the courtroom. Alright. That was a fairly sizable bang. My ears are still ringing, Mr. Naruhodo. Sounded almost exactly like... It goes off like a gunshot. Cool. Yeah. No kidding. You don't say. I'm a thinker, me. Think all sorts of thoughts. I think, therefore I am. I am, therefore I think. I think. Because I stand there in the street, watching the world go on about me. They call me the Observer. Get out of it, old man. Everyone calls you Sandwich, and you know it. What? I think I have a screenshot to send Sandwich later. So, you don't actually sell anything. A problem shared is a problem halved, as they say. I give advice, I do, and I think what it means. I don't actually sell anything, no, come to think of it. Pity. No more purchases today, please. Well, we have quite a cast here, it seems. They conduct their business on Fresno Street from morning until night, my lord. Oh, is the bot just busted today? Hold on. Let me guess, I have to restart it. That's good, that's good. No, it should be working. So why didn't it?
Toku Sentai, Toku
Oh, okay.
Sentai,
I was about to say.
Toku
Cool.
Sentai.
I always assume it's probably the bot. It's always in the same place, directly adjacent to the crime scene. I see. Thus they heard the gunshot, I suppose. Not only that, but they very bravely ran inside to see what was going on and witness the crime. Well, I'll be braggart, I thought, just between us. Venus de Milo, what am I to do? What a terrible thing I saw. What I think is, if all what we see is light and shadow playing with our eyes, is any of it real? They're going to be so helpful. Very well. The court will hear the formal testimony of these three witnesses now. You'll describe in detail what you witnessed and heard at the time of the incident. This should be clearly the witness's account. We saw the whole thing from start to finish, we did. Everything from the moment they went in the building. It was less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside that we all heard a big bang. Seems to me that quick to talk is quick to walk. Gossip couldn't wait to go see what had happened. I ran into the room, and there he was, the Reaper, gun in his hand, standing over the dead body. I was scared half to death me, so I ran off to find a copper. If these witnesses were there the whole day and saw everything, who did they see going inside the building? Only the victim, Inspector Gregson, and the accused, Barrack von Zeeks. Seen pictures of that Reaper in the paper. I know what he looks like. Just between us, folks love stories like this. I made myself a tidy sum already. But wait, the room was just one of several flats in the building. Someone from another flat could have done it. All those flats on Fresno Street are unoccupied. Of course they are. They're small, damp, dirty, and expensive to boot. Why would you make something that dingy expensive? The room in which the inspector was found is the only property in the building that's currently leased. And we know the leaseholder's name, don't we? It's Hugh Boone. The testimony of the court is just heard. The testimony of the court is just heard would appear to leave little room for doubt. It's becoming increasingly difficult to see how anyone other than the defendant could have committed the crime. No. Thank you for your candor, my lord. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed to cross-examine the witnesses. Yes, my lord. In a closed court like this, without a jury, the judge is the only person whose opinion matters. Yeah, we know. Pretty sure it's off the streaming service. What? Why would you take off the things you own? I'm done with WB. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, at some point I get that they're just a giant corporation that only cares about money, but like, actions like this, that doesn't get them money. Why wouldn't you leave the things you own forever and made in the past up on your streaming service? Why would you can a movie that was already basically done? That people seemingly wanted to see? I don't get it. Like, I understand when giant corporations take dick moves that screw over everybody but makes them an extra penny. It sucks, but I understand how that can happen. This, I don't even get. It doesn't even make any sense. Screw WB. Not that that's a new or controversial stance. I have to break down this testimony somehow. Oh, was it? I was thinking of the Wile E. Coyote one. Yeah, like when all that money and work is done, why not give it a chance to be good? Even if it turns out bad, you'll still make some of your money back. The witness's account. Alright.
Hold it!
When you say they, who do you mean exactly? Inspector Gregson and the defendant, Lord Van Zeeks? I suppose so. The likes of us don't know the names of the high and mighty. But I'll tell you one thing. It was the old Reaper that went in last. That's for sure and certain. Just behind Inspector Gregson. Did they arrive at the same time as each other? No, not at all. First fellow must have gone inside a good 15 minutes before we heard the gunshot. Victim arrived 15 minutes before. Are you sure about that? Am I sure? Doesn't seem likely that I'd have forgotten a fellow with bright red hair like that, does it? Okay. All their children's... Wyatt? Man... It is a shame that current day WB is what it is, because, like, they made so much good stuff for so long, and now it's just... It means nothing. And it's such a shame. Yeah, his hair really were red, weren't it? Redder than my flaming fireworks even. That fire red mop still burnt into the inside of my eyelids, it is. Wait a minute. You're saying the man was a redhead? Weren't you listening, chum? Aye, he was a redhead. And he had a big trunk with him as well. Inspector Gregson's hair isn't red, not by any stretch of the imagination. Seems likely that the person you saw wasn't in fact Inspector Gregson at all, but some other third party. No, I hate to break it to you, the witnesses are correct. What? Just have a look at the photograph of the victim taken at the scene. It's not successful enough, apparently. But, like... But what does it cost them to keep it up on their service on the off chance that even a few people decide... Okay, sure, whatever. Yes, that's Inspector Gregson, alright. And a red headpiece, yeah. Ah, of course, we saw one on the floor when we investigated the scene, didn't we? Yes, we did. Still refuse to believe Inspector Gregson wore a hairpiece, though. So then why on earth would he have been wearing something like that? The color does seem to suit the man, one might say. Does it? Photograph will be submitted as evidence. Please, counsel. Alright, good. Better. Those. Excuse me, sorry. Photographic print of the victim, Inspector Gregson. His body appears to be tightly curled up and there's a red headpiece on his head. And what became of that red-headed victim? The trunk that the red-headed victim was supposedly carrying. Let's also take a better look at the actual... Okay. Probably nothing to, like, add to the description. Well, I'm sure this is fine, sure. I was informed that no trunk was found at the scene. So it just disappeared? What, do you expect us to have been watching the building every second, do you? You literally... We definitely saw him in the dock. Going in, though. No question about that. But you just said you were Okay. Literally... We saw the whole thing from start to finish, everything from the moment they went in the building, but then you don't expect us to be watching the whole time, do you? Okay, sure. By which presumably you mean the gunshot. I saw these little things, don't I? How would I know what a gunshot sounds like? But I've always thought it probably sounds a bit like this, doesn't it? You say that you heard the noise almost as soon as you saw the defendant enter the building. That's right. It's almost straight away. Bang, went, just like that. Well, he's the Reaper, isn't he? It's what the French call, fait accompli. Well, the Reaper's around. People are going in the ground. I mean, that's what he does, isn't it? Think we get the message. The Reaper couldn't allow the inspector to live after he discovered his secret hideout. There can be no clearer motive for the crime. I don't know if one noteboard denotes a hideout for... whatever. Yes. Certainly an eminently credible motive. Yeah, it is an eminently credible motive if we assume that that is his base of operations. But, like, we don't know. It could be... Great. At that point, you ran inside. Is that correct?
Hold it!
So when Gossip ran to see what had happened, did you go too?
Well, me, I'm a bit hampered to see all the signs so that I can't move very well.
You were way behind, presumably. That sandwich board around your neck and that big sign in your hand. A great burden you bear. Pardon me for asking, Mr. Sandwich, but... is it possible you and I have met before?
I'm not anybody, me. The signs are what make me who I am now. I signed, therefore I am.
So, you weren't employed as an omnibus driver just under a year ago, then? I might be mistaken, but I believe his trembling has intensified, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I agree. He's clearly been through a lot.
Turn down King Henry Street and the Black Widower's arm is just there.
Oh dear, you've made him hide behind a sign. Life is full of surprises. Oh, no. Go back.
Hold it!
So far, nothing stands out immediately. So then you were the first person to arrive at the scene, is that right? And I was. Kicked the door open like a professional, I did. Yelled out, "What's going off here?" But Van Zeke's claims all he heard was a man's scream, though. Good luck fishing, Ron. Hope you get something good, now that you got a few fishing points saved up. No, not dark at all. There were candles burning on the wall. Oh, 2 tugs. Really?
I would classify that as cringe.
Ah, hey, look. You caught a ball of cringe. Wonderful. And there was a fella collapsed on the floor. Yes, between us, it's the first thing I noticed when I got inside. Ah, I see. Yes, indeed. Even though Lord Van Zeeks claims not to have seen any such light on the wall. The next things I noticed was someone standing right beside the body. The accused, Baron Von Zeeks. That's right, the pale-faced Reaper himself. I was a little shocked, I won't deny it, but I'm no lily-livered coward.
I would classify that as cringe.
I stood my ground and gave that Reaper a cold, hard stare myself. Yeah, sure.
Excuse me!
Do you have something to add, Mr. Sandwich? Saving all of these for later.
There's really nothing to me. Empty in the head I am, just 2 slices with no middle. So I don't know what you could want with me.
I think that maybe you just remembered something. Having heard Mr. Gossip's last statement I made.
What I think is we're all nothings, really. We try to dress ourselves up as something else, but at the end of the day, we're all just street sellers.
That's enough out of you, Sandwich. Keep your trap shut now. Poor Sandwich. Unless you want us to make you into a real sandwich.
Well, when he saw the Reaper, he fell clean over on his backside.
That's it. Ah, delicious beer bottle. Ah, you rotten beggar. I told you to keep that a secret.
He screamed, he did. He screamed and scrambled off on all 4s. That's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Gossip, is this true? The floor was dead slippery, and that's why I planted my hand in a filthy pool of blood, didn't I? Yuck. What? Pool of blood?
Well, listen here. Even when I was sprawled on the floor, I still kept giving the Reaper a cold, hard stare. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, okay. Let's just go back a little. Did you say you got blood in your hand?
I did.
Happens to the best of us at times, doesn't it? So I was scared, so I slipped over. We can keep it just between us, can't we? No, Mr. Gossip, I'm going to have to ask you to add that information to your formal testimony. Ah, if I must. The witness will amend his testimony to include the aforementioned details at once. Slipped over and got blood on my hands, so I quickly wiped it off on the floor. Sure.
Hold it!
On the floor, definitely. So, you didn't run into the room with your friends. I'm not that sort of girl. Sorry? I'm a timid little thing, me. I was too scared to go in there. Ah, right. I see. Old Lippy and the witch ran in there, and then I heard a sort of old lady scream. Old lady scream. Good luck. Well, that wasn't me, I swear. If I were a gentleman, I'd stake my honor on it. I wondered what on earth was going on. This is when you went to find a policeman. This is better. Nice. Not shabby. And I ran into a copper as soon as I turned the corner, so I brought him straight back to the place. Didn't I do well, eh? Just between us, that copper's eyes nearly popped out of his head when he saw the Reaper.
I've never felt more uncomfortable in all of my life.
And the defendant was arrested on the spot, I believe. Considering the catalog of killings the Reaper had carried out, it was a particularly inauspicious end. I can't find any holes in his testimony. I fear the judge will give a ruling of guilty, Mr. Naruhodo. That the truth is, through their combined testimony, the truth is, though, their combined testimony is fairly damning. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any obvious problems with their statements, do there? And if you think about how many of them are Monster Hunter. But yeah, it's true, it's not just the Monster Hunter team at Capcom that's doing great. It's also the Monster Hunter team, but not exclusively. Still, if Lord Van Zieks really is innocent, then I'm almost certain I'll find something in there that doesn't quite add up. Alright, hold on. It was warmer today, so I didn't have my usual robe on. But also, now it's getting very cold out, and I'm starting to get chilly. So I'm gonna take off hoodie and pop on robe while the fishing is happening. So just 1 second. Garbage. There we go. It also feels weird after like 2 weeks of streaming exclusively with it to not have the feline hat on. Yeah, Monster Hunter team is doing well. And in the same time, Split Fiction, the new game from the It Takes Two guys, also sold 2 million copies in 1 week. So 2 just damn good games coming out at the same time, it seems. We'll find something in there that doesn't quite add up. Let's bring this one. Still, if Lord Van Zieks really is innocent, then I'm almost certain. Okay. You don't think one of these 3 could be the true culprit, do you? I don't know. But what I do know is that there's more to this case than is yet to be brought to light. Well, definitely, yeah. It's not finished. There's got to be. It's always the one that they amend. So it's got to be the bloody handprint here. So I don't think there's. hiccups, damn. There's no other mention of a bloody handprint except there.
Objection!
But I'm not sure what that proves. So you wiped off the blood from your hand on the floor of the room. Are you quite sure about that? Well, what else do you expect me to have done, eh? Does it really matter?
Objection!
The police found no such handprint on the floor during their investigations. What exactly is the defense
Objection!
asserting? If you listen, you'll find out, Prosecutor Asogi. Also, if you already admitted that the police did not find that handprint during their investigations, then you just admitted that the person that you brought to the stand is lying to us in court under oath. We're just going to let that go by? We're just going to let that slip. That you just admitted that to all of the knowledge that you and the police have, cease fishing? Why? Why would you ever stop fishing? That's true, yeah. Since when do you make up fishing laws, Sor?
Fish!
Certainly, there was no bloody handprint found on the floor. What are you trying to say? There was a handprint and blood left very clearly at the scene. On the back of this notice board. Yes, indeed. Indisputably a handprint in the distinctive color of blood. You're dead right. That's my right hand. I'd know it anywhere.
Objection!
The witnesses very definitely testify that he wiped his hands on the floor. Any handprints on the back of the board are irrelevant.
Objection!
You just admitted that the police didn't find any bloody handprints on the floor. Not if the board itself had fallen over onto the floor. In that case, it's quite possible for the witness's handprint to have ended up there. Just look at the floor plan of the room. The notice board was in the opposite corner of the room to the victim, and in an upright position, even if it had somehow been toppled and was lying on the floor at the time. It would have been a considerable distance from the body.
Fishing!
Can't we just shoot fish to gather them? I mean, you know, that's one way of doing it. Wow, poor Ark is getting thrown in thrown into the line of duty for something they didn't sign up for. I fell over when I came across the body, so I was basically right next to the corpse, not on the other side of the room. In other words, the defense's assertion is contradictory. Yes, it is. There's a very definite contradiction here, for which there must be a reason. Take it that you formulated a proper hypothesis, counsel. Regarding this apparent discrepancy between the witness's account and the handprint found at the scene. I have, my lord. Have I? Yumi is going to be really good. I'm definitely going to wait a little bit, but it's going to be really good. This discrepancy between the witness's account and the location of the handprint is explained by there is no other handprint, so that's not it. I feel very confident saying it is not another handprint. What are the other options? The board moving, false testimony. I'd love to say false testimony and throw the whole thing out, but I doubt that's it. Though he did act weird about it. So the board moving makes more sense. It has to be one of these. Either he's lying about it, or the board moved. Like, Moss Central only alchemy. Honestly, if it came out like when does it come out? It comes out next week, right? If it came out like a week later, I'd probably start up on it day one. But as it stands, I'm probably going to wait a little bit. Have a backlog again. Comes out Thursday, yeah. I'll probably give it like a week. We'll see. Also, I may have some... Depends on other situations as well, so... It's got to be board moving. The real contradiction here is the handprint itself, not where it was found. As the court can see, it's upside down. This is this week too. That one I'm less in a hurry for. I've waited this long to not play it. What's another month or two? Good gracious, so it is. If the witness had put his hand against the board, the finger should be pointing upwards. What? What does that tell us? It tells one simple fact. When this handprint was made, the board must have been lying on the floor as I previously suggested, which means that after the incident, it must have been moved.
Objection!
You're claiming that somebody moved the notice board after the shooting? Then tell the court who. I don't know that yet. But the point is, like, literally anybody who had access to the crime scene, any of those three, hell, Van Zieks could do it, though let's not put his name in there because that would be bad for us, but like, there is so many people who could have done that. But the point is, when you consider all the testimony we've heard so far, we can now be very clear on one point. That would be the position of the notice board at the time of the incident, my lord. So, counsel, I must ask you to clarify your assertion for the court. At the time of the incident, where do you maintain the notice board was situated? Okay. So, if the notice board had been if the notice board had been like here, that would have blocked Van Zieks' line of sight of the body. And Van Zieks, opening the door like a normal human being, probably wouldn't have bounced it into the notice board. However, this guy, kicking the door open with bravado, probably would have knocked it over onto the floor, where it would have been over here. And then, at some point, somebody brings it over here. That would explain how the body appeared, and why he said there was no light in the room, even though there was probably candelabra lit there. So, it's gotta be in this area. It has to be. It's also the only way. If he fell down, got blood on his hands, and then immediately used it to like wipe off on the floor, it would have to be here. It has to be.
Take that!
Right? This is the only possible location. Immediately adjacent to the doorway. If the court would think back to the testimony given by the defendant earlier. He said that when he entered the room, it was dark, and he couldn't see the body. The heck! If the notice board had been here, the body would have been completely hidden from view. And the light from the candles would have been blocked, making the room appear darker.
Objection!
But the accused also claims that the victim's body simply appeared before him. Ah, a shoe. That's true. Or, in his precise words, I don't know about calling it a scream, but he was talking about me, and no mistake. Because it was me that kicked the door open. You look again at the floor plan. Consider what would happen if the door to the room was thrown open with force. That can't. The door struck the notice board, knocking it over, and making the victim's body visible. Good gracious! My client has told nothing but the truth. He has simply described what he saw. Order! Order! Counsel, how has this not come to light before now? After the incident, somebody must have righted the board and moved it. into the position where the police, myself, and my colleague saw it when investigating the room. Witness, what have you had to say for yourself?
What? Me, my lord?
You and your fellows were there at the scene before anybody else. It goes without saying that you must know something about the position of the notice board.
Fishing.
The witnesses in the stand will testify again. You will each explain exactly what you did upon arriving at the scene of the crime.
Stop looking over your glasses at me. I get the message.
Damn, predominantly actually fish. The mystery of the moving board.
I don't know anything about that there notice board. I just waved my hand on it, that's all.
Don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time.
I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me. Just a sign at the crossroads of life.
It was a Reaper, I bet. He's got a face that screams, bored.
I can't see how this changes anything anyway. The detective still died when we heard the gunshot.
So none of you can elaborate further. Shaken by the crime they witnessed, and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp by which to see, you can't expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise account of what happened. Oh, but you know, by the exact same light, Van Zieks has to know every detail of everything that happened to any human being that's ever set foot within 30 feet of that room. Cool. Cool. That's right, yeah. It don't pay to expect too much.
It's man's endless quest for knowledge that's destroying the world. That's what I think.
Do you? Really? In any case, as this testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. When the gunshot rang out, the accused was the only person at the scene.
Barrel.
Yes, maybe there was a barrel there too, but for the most part it was just the accused. Bombs are the only way. In short, the only person who could possibly have committed this crime is Baron Van Zieks. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact. Quite so, quite so. Does the defense still wish to cross-examine the witnesses despite the circumstances? Most certainly, my lord. Why would we ever say no? Very well, then you may proceed, counsel. Just a fish, yep. Mr. the Moving Board.
Hold it!
So you admit that it was the board you wiped your bloody hand on? Admit it? What's to admit? It's there plain as day for you all to see. A smashing print of my right hand. Perhaps you wanted to hide that handprint? So you righted the notice board and pushed it over into the corner, did you? No. Imagine the weight of that great lump. Do I look like a powerful and well-nurtured man? Well, did you see anybody else moving the board? I've got nerves of steel, I can tell you, but even I have my limits. There was a body on the floor in front of me, the Grim Reaper himself standing over it. There was precious little light inside either. My bottom lip was all a quiver. In other words, this witness is unable to give definitive testimony on that point. Yes, so it would seem. Cool. That was helpful. Man, she must have a scratchy ass to be able to light matches on it.
Hold it!
When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks? Yeah, what else? There's the Priory School just around the corner, see? Those cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plan to blow their school to Kingdom Come. So I've been telling on them, letting their teachers know what they're up to. Oh, you have? Yeah, wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so let the school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks off them. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to me to buy more. Everyone's happy, see? What a racket. Of course, and sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus to thank me for letting them know. It's a busy old life selling explosives. Venus is a guileful goddess indeed. Well, tell him barefaced lies is kind of my thing, really. I'm ever so good at it. Why would you admit that on the witness stand in a court of law? Unless you're at soup.
Excuse me.
Why would you say those words? Something wrong, Mr. Sandwich?
That's soap.
If I said it was, could we just leave it at that? Would that be the end of it?
No. Did Miss Venus's statement just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts. Let's say there was a great liar, and that great liar said, without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm ever so good at it. Would those words of hers be a lie too, or the truth? In which case, she's not a liar. Oh, it's a hellish paradox, that one, don't you think?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But it seems to me you're suggesting Miss Venus has been lying, are you? What are you on about, old man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that. And I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and set them off. That'll give you something to tremble about. You have a startlingly disturbing mind behind that sweet and innocent face, young lady. So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich?
Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Can you elaborate, please, sir?
Old Blabbermouth here headed for the room where the gunshots seemed to come from. But there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten liar over there.
You mean to say that you did in fact betake yourself to the scene of the crime after all?
Fishing.
What did I tell you, eh? Said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I? Yes, you mentioned it.
I missed.
Well, sometimes you cast your line into a lake or a pond that could be filled with fish as big as blue whales and come up with nothing. That revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it? Who knew firecrackers packed such a punch? So, you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief. Well, now you come to mention it. I suppose perhaps I do clearly remember climbing the stairs to the room, yeah. Either you clearly remembered it or you don't. Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this prodigious act later. For the time being, you will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth. Oh yes, my lord, of course.
Hold it.
Well, what did your peak show you? That's true, or as big as Alexander. Make a habit of lying, do you, Miss Venus? Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. You want my advice, though? I take everything I say with a big pinch of salt. Great. Love when somebody's just like, I've been straight up lying to y'all, and they're just like, oh, we could remove them from the bench, but nah, we'll trust them from here on out. Alright, but did you in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, didn't you? Oh please, as if I would. Can't think of anything more terrifying. The truth, please. Alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know. Did you touch anything at the scene? please, as if I would. I mean, there's a dead body on the floor. The truth, please. All right, just a bit then. I had a look to see if there was anything I could sell. So I did give the place a once over, but it was nothing to write home about. Right. Now I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you? Oh, please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change is all I had. The truth, please. Well, all right then. I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. So I blasted the flip thing. Sorry, I flipped the blasted thing. You're telling us that you did move that board? I did that. I think that did slip out, didn't it? What? You daft barn pot!
I don't believe it. The girl doesn't think.
Fishing.
So, did you find anything left? Something that you might have taken, perhaps, to sell? Oh, please, I should be so lucky. In my imagination, the truth! Now! I might have found this old pocket watch under the notice board, I suppose. Ah! Good old boomstick. Oh, it was you, wasn't it? You're the one who took it. Gina! Young lady, may I remind you where you are? Watch, that watch there. That was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard for a big case he solved 10 years ago. Professor case, no doubt. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail, when he was waiting for his grub to come at the pub. I see. I swiped it off him once and blimey was he upset. Gave me a right earful. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing it and winding it. Meant the world to him, that watch did. Possibly not the best thing to go diving for, then. It's not all that, though. I took it to Jabez that night to ask how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it. Said it wasn't working. Knocked about and worthless, he called it. Ah, I knew I should have lifted it. Stan just keeps getting nuttier and nuttier. That watch must be submitted as evidence at once. Oh, please, just so long as you promise to give it back when you're done. Not a chance! I'll swipe it from you if you try to get your grubby mitts on it again. It's enough. Hand the watch to the bailiff forthwith. Now, children. Watch your manners. Good Lord! Glass appears to be broken. More than likely it shattered when the inspector was shot. Doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabez didn't want it. What a waste, eh? Yes, indeed. It appears to have stopped at the hour of 5. Exactly when the gunshot was heard, then. Which supports the prosecution's claim, of course. Well, it would appear that the mystery of the moving notice board has been solved at last. As predicted, it had very little bearing on the case. Now then, continue with your cross-examination, please, counsel. Did the watch actually get added? It did. I mean, we got the watch. That's something. Glass over the face really is badly cracked. Look. What a shame, and the inspector clearly looked after it so carefully. I imagine Mr. Sholmes could repair it, don't you? Yes, I should think so. He's very adept at things like this. A very useful man to have around, in fact. But kindly remember that he's a great detective, Mr. Naruhodo, not an odd job man. Why not both?
Fishing.
Switch of wood. And you're getting some new records too. And a fair amount of gold. Never a bad thing. Oh, I didn't actually read that, did I? It's not a little stub sticking out. See? I suppose there must have been a little knob or something on that for setting the time. In that case, seeing as we know the inspector took such good care of this watch, it probably broke when the incident occurred, didn't it? Yes, of course. Which could mean that there's a small part of the watch still at the scene, maybe. Nope, I literally just saw that. Ah, there's a tiny little keyhole here. Can you see? Oh yes, that's probably for the winder used to wind up the mechanism. Looks a little unusual, don't you think? Yes, you'd need just the right key to wind it, I imagine. Why do I feel as though I've seen something... something a bit like a key that's about the right size to fit in this hole? It'd be wonderful if we had the key. Let's check carefully over what we've already found. It would be a real shame if we already had the key. Real shame. The helmet of this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear. I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. The head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled. Almost as if somebody's enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. Excuse me. Shall we try twisting it around and around too? For fun? Ah! What's that? It appears to be some sort of key. It's tiny though. It couldn't be a key for a door, not of that size. So what is it for, I wonder? Truly a mystery upon mysteries. Mr. Sato, do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Gregson's watch? Oh yes, it could be. Let's try it at once. It's not a moment to lose. I knew it, a perfect fit. And look, the inspector's watch has started going again. Ah, so it has obviously just not been wound up, that's all. What is it, Mrs. Sato? Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all, I have a feeling it could have profound implications. She's deep in thought now. Perhaps I'd better start thinking deeply too. Alright. Definitely no implications. Now then, continue with your cross-examination, please, Counsel.
Hold it!
But you did go to see what happened in the room, didn't you?
Fresno Street is my whole world. It's all I know, and I know all of it. I have to make it a business to know if I want to hold my sign up high.
So you did go to see what had happened.
It's not the destination that's important. It's how you get there, isn't it?
Did you notice a notice board in the room?
If you think about it, we're both the same species, aren't we? Both different members of the Cyan family. So if I'd spotted it, I might have tried to trip it up out of a sense of rivalry, I admit.
So I really need to tell you that you're Homo sapiens, not Homo simians. Does that mean you didn't notice the board?
I can only repeat what I said before. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me. Just a sign at the crossroads of life.
In which case, just who is responsible for moving the notice board? Well, we know that now. I mean, again, we definitively know who admitted to moving the board. But it's okay, it's fine. What exactly do you mean by that? Oh, come on now. Don't tell us you've not noticed. He looks like he hates everything in the world, that fella. But he's not notice boards. They're the one thing he likes. You can see it in his eyes. I can't say I'd ever noticed. I'll tell you one thing for free, though. I never took my eyes off that man on the floor. Or off the wrist. Not for a second. Sure, definitely not. Sorry. Well, I was that scared. I couldn't. You never know what a frightened feeling like that might do if you look away, do you?
Fish.
You didn't take your eyes off the defendant. Delicious fishing snake. You should be able to
Fishy.
confirm categorically whether or not he was the one who moved the notice board. Aye, that I can. The Reaper did nothing of the sort, I can swear to that. I couldn't have missed it if he'd heaved that thing up right again and dragged it into the corner. Right, glad we cleared that up. What happened to the face that screamed bored? Feel your pain, Cosmo.
Hold it.
Sure. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon that you all heard the loud bang, wasn't it?
Maybe the notice board fell over, maybe it didn't. Maybe I fell over, or maybe I didn't.
Sorry, I got a message. Alright, not pressingly important.
But the Reaper's fate is sealed either way because of that gunshot we all heard. So your fate's sealed too.
My fate? That's right, the defense is fated to lose. And the prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot. So if I could just find some problem with that part of their story, it'd be funny if we could. It'd be possible to change all our fates.
Of course, none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it?
Not much to go on. As you pointed out, Mr. Naruhodo, there's no question that the notice board was moved. Somebody must have done it. But it did happen after the event, so... maybe Cosmo's right and it's not relevant to the case? But it seems to have been deliberately positioned so as to hide the body from view. So I feel sure that there's some deeper significance to all of this. Yes, I know what you mean. I've no doubt there are more clues to be uncovered. You're on the right track. I can feel it. So follow your instincts. Alright then. Yeah, he's telling the truth. I think she's telling the truth now. Anything. I don't know if he doesn't know anything about anything. That still died when we heard of the gunshot.
Fishy.
So it can't be that? It can't be that. That has to be false. Because that is obviously the linchpin of this case, as I mentioned. What you get? PK, one of the best anime characters of all time. In an anime that surprised me with how much I enjoyed it. So it could be the watch. Since the watch stopped not when the gunshot was fired, but it ran out, even though he winds it every night. It could theoretically be the candle, because that is not 15 minutes of burning wax. If that's 15 minutes of burning wax, you'd go through 1 million candles in a week. But I think the watch is the more succinct bit of evidence.
Objection.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah, if that was 15 minutes of wax, those candles would suck terribly. afraid that's not necessarily the case.
Oh,
At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch. A key. And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built. What? Order, order, order! But counsel, the watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock. Yeah, which is just when we heard that gunshot. It is exactly the hour. The time that was showing on the watch tells us nothing other than when it wound down. It's merely coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock.
Objection.
Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshot at 5 o'clock. So that's obviously when the crime was committed.
Objection.
No, that doesn't hold. Why not? Recall what Inspector Lestrade said, only moments ago. The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day, in the evening. Papers, please, cooperate. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the timepiece in the evening before he died as well.
Fishing.
Yes, that would be entirely reasonable. But if that's the case, you wouldn't expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day. Oh, explain that. In summary, the evening before the day of the incident, when the gunshot rang out in that room, the inspector was already unable to wind his watch. You can't mean... What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead. Order, order, counsel, this is the most extraordinary claim.
Objection.
Extraordinary isn't the word, it's absurd. You claim he was already dead the night before. Do you really think that Scotland Yard's coroner would have overlooked something like that? On that subject, there's something rather surprising. Yeah, they didn't actually put it... You have all said 5 o'clock. All of them said 5 o'clock, but the time of death is not actually listed on this autopsy report. So... yeah. Originally I thought that was just, a typo or something, but it seems to be intentional. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report. Gregson died? Yeah, no, he got shot for real. The time of death is not noted. That's right! Wait a minute, you're forgetting that my legs went from under me when I kicked the door in. What do you mean? Like I said, I planted my hand in a dirty great puddle of blood. Yes. So the victim's blood hadn't dried. It was fresh. He catches on fast, doesn't he?
Objection.
Plot happened streams ago. Yeah, you catch up eventually. What are you expecting, Robin? The sword will scroll up? Well, that blood could be explained in any number of ways. It could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured over the victim's body after he... Does my learned friend think that fresh blood is available on every street corner? Well, it needn't necessarily have been human blood, of course. We've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human. The problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities. So then, a chicken's blood could have been used, for example. It's certainly a possibility that it wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Objection.
But the gunshot was heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon. That's beyond question. Is it, though? What? Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called into question, it isn't beyond the realms of
Objection.
possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't a gunshot at all. Oh, please, what are you trying to say? You literally just threw firecrackers at us. I'm not sure. I'll pause on it next time I see it. That was a lot, know what we heard, and it was a loud bang that came from that there room. Why does he have... Oh, of course he has a whip.
Hey, listen to me. A street seller's ears
Fishy.
are livelihood.
I don't doubt your ears, sir, but all you can state with certainty is that you heard a noise. Explain yourself then, counsel. Ooh, delicious gummy sharks. Man, I haven't had those in a while. Notice it sounds like a gunshot could have been made with... We just straight up show the gun. No, obviously it's these, but it would be funny, wouldn't it? Something like this. The culprit could have set off one of these to fake a gunshot. Good gracious, the very fireworks that are sold by the witness! Exactly. Now hold on a minute. Are you saying I did it? My pretty little firecrackers only make a little pop anyway. See? Not 100 of them together. The Venus Special that you sell for 600 pennies sounds like this. As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact. I'm trying to suggest that somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene. I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day, and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot for those peddlers on Fresno Street to hear.
Objection.
But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was a gun or firecracker, the only person present to cause the bang was Barrick Von Seeks. One whiff of a match and my firecrackers go pop. See, that's why people like them. If you're for your fingers, young lady.
Objection.
Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learned of a very useful invention indeed. Something called a time bomb. Good heavens, a bomb! Yes, a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like. Mr. Naruhodo, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead to yet another international incident. No, wait, it's the whenever you like part that's important. A timed device. Yes, exactly. A timed device. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit had left. Your extravagant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a timed device was employed to create the gunshot sound?
Fishy.
It's gotta be the candles. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. Though I'm surprised only one candle gets charred from that, but still, whatever.
Take that.
Ah, the other soup. We have ramen soup and we have soup. Both very important soups. As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles of this candelabrum has been blown off. Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet, which presumably passed through the victim. I don't think that's possible, my lord. Not possible. Why? Because of the scorching. There are gunpowder scorch marks clearly visible on the broken candle. There are? Good goodness, yes. But is it not the case that there was also scorching on the victim around the bullet entry wound? That's right, there was. But as we heard earlier, scorching like that only occurs when the target is at very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun. Ah. Which means that the scorching on the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot. You're suggesting it came from the fireworks. How can that be? How can that be, eh? It did indeed look weird. The fact that there's such visible scorching on the candle suggests that the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded. Or to put it another way, The candle and firecrackers were joined together. The culprit somehow attached the firecrackers at a point partway down the candle. After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burnt down along with the other two, until eventually it ignited the fuse of the firecrackers, generating a loud bang. Yeah, I can't quite make out a sign. It's definitely hot afflual hero? The actual hero? I don't know. And that is how these three witnesses came to believe they'd heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock. Well, what a plot. This implies that the victim could have died earlier than we've been led to believe, the previous day even.
Now, just hold your horses. All us lot here saw the victim go into the building, remember? I couldn't forget that flame-colored hair even if I wanted to.
The person you saw entering the building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this. Obviously, anybody can wear a wig. So the person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else entirely wearing the red hairpiece. Someone else? Do you mean to say? It was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick. In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer. Ah! Oh, very impressive, Ryunosuke. Naruhodo. Kazuma. Really quite amazed you've come this far. But after all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the makings of a great defense lawyer? I also noted the lack of time of death on this report, a stark omission. But as far as I'm concerned, this whole country's justice system leaves a lot to be desired. Order, order, order! Prosecutor Asagi! What on earth do you mean by that statement? I hear that many of the leading members of Britain's judiciary are present to observe this trial today, so we cannot allow even the slightest doubt to be overlooked. The defense's assertion about the time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture, but while the possibility exists that my learned friend may be correct, we have a duty to explore it. Well, certainly, I would agree with you. And what immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing and where did he go on the day before the incident? Do you know? The inspector always carried out his investigative work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland Yard. Even within the Yard. However, considering the evidence we've been presented with so far, I'd say it's fairly apparent what case the man was pursuing. Wouldn't you, my learned friend? I do have a feeling of what case he might have been investigating. Yes, I agree. Surely. My lord, the defense believes it can explain to the court the case that was being investigated by Inspector Gregson at the time of his death. Very well, counsel. Present your argument to the court. What evidence is suggestive of the case being investigated by the inspector on the day prior to the incident? Well, I mean, we only have one thing talking about a case, but just to make sure. Don't think that's it. No, definitely not. Unlikely. No. It's gotta be this. It's gotta be. It's the only case we know about. And it's the one Van Zeeks was already investigating the inspector for looking into. I believe this red hairpiece points to... Yeah, sure, okay, the red hairpiece. We might assume it was part of a disguise used to carry out an undercover investigation. Surely not. Such a brightly colored hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable. Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely have made him stand out in a crowd. Except, that is, in a crowd of gentlemen from the Red-Headed League. The Red-Headed League? So, you'd already worked it out. What on earth is this all about? Is there such an extraordinary league of gentlemen? The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for a grand deception. Deception of what nature, Counsel? They've been targeting red-headed men across all of London and tricking them out of small sums of money. 2 men were arrested for the misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact. My lord, the defense calls for those 2 men to be summoned at once. 2 redheads? I had to drop the name. Yeah, of course. Mr. Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using only this hairpiece. Was the League of Extraordinary... Wasn't that based on a comic first, or am I mistaken? I believe that was originally a comic.
Tasty.
Yes, it was a comic first. The multi-genre crossover comic book series created by writer Alan Moore. Of course it's Alan Moore.
Why? Why
Okay.
did you do that?
Alright, cool. I've seen the movie. I have not read the comic, but I was just remembering. Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using his hairpiece, so it's very likely that he had direct contact with these criminals. It's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events. I concur that we cannot in good conscience leave this new avenue unexplored. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, it's another possible line of inquiry for us at least. Prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring those 2 Red-Headed League conspirators before me, Prosecutor Sogi. At once, my lord. Very good. We will now have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned. To be continued. Well, this is the logical stopping point, but it's just definitely too early, so I'll keep going. It was like an hour past this, maybe, but 10 o'clock is too early. Yeah, absolutely. Charles here. It can't be done. Yeah, true, fair. 2nd November, 12:33 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Ah, there you are, Odo. What kept you, my dear fellow? Hello, Mr. Sholmes, Gina. You sure about what you said in there? The boss, you know, actually died the day before? Pretty hard to swallow.
Fishing.
Yes, I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina. As was I, possibly more shocked than both of you. It's not a competition, Mr. Sholmes. But I was more shocked than all of you put together. This is the autopsy report in question, isn't it? Apparently we've stocked that lake with exclusively salmon, right? Yes, it's strange that there's no time of death noted. Suppose there's a simple explanation, or perhaps it was a deliberate omission. Oh dear, if it was deliberate, it puts me in mind of the last case we worked on. Dr. Seath. Yeah, it must be spawning season. I know. Anyway, it seems that on the day before Lord Van Zieks discovered his body, Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, so perhaps something happened with them. Come to think of it. You had trouble with those League men too, didn't you, Mr. Sholmes? You were taken in by their trick. No. Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as you put it. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly 4-pound income. And that scent masks the underlying scent of deception, I suppose? The 2 criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? And Mr. Sholmes' suite, I mean. That's right, Suze. And it was me what took him in. Thanks to a tip-off by a good law-abiding citizen. Indeed, yours truly. So it's going to be that pair in the witness stand next, is it? Oh, cool. There we go. Good to know the bots are still out, but it is a different message. It's not the be mean at the lack of viewers you have. Like, freaking come on. It's because we're not in Monster Hunter tonight, so it's back to just standard botness. Something doesn't quite make sense to me though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Why would the Inspector have been investigating? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuthhound
Fishy.
interest was piqued by the rare scent of a weekly 4-pound income. Don't tar him with the same brush as you, Sholmes. Yes, well... Then there's the whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Van Zeeks for some reason. Ah, cool. A soaking wet vape. Cool. Useful. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Van Zeeks, and Kazuma. I feel as though he knew we'd arrive at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right. What's he really trying to achieve here today? All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. Yes, you're right. Drugs! Kazuma was determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial. And he was determined that I should take the defense. Just what is it that he's hoping to make me see, I wonder? I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet. So do I. Are you ready then, Mrs. Otto? Yes. Alright, back in we go. 2nd November, 1 o'clock p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Barak Von Zeeks, here present, who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Asoki. My lord, have you summoned the witnesses as requested? Yes, the 2 members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage. Very good. Bailiff, usher the 2 men into the courtroom. Yep. That good old prison spaghetti. These 2 men are currently being held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may admit your occupations, but state your names now for the court. I am Fabien de Rousseau, a descendant of the great Rousseau family from Nice in France. I don't remember. I had a voice for him the other day, but it's like a month ago now. And my name is Peppini de Rossi. I am the 3rd son of the great Familia de Rossi, the landowners from Napoli. The 2 men first became acquainted at a boarding school for European nobility. Yeah, clearly, he's eating spaghetti, and he says, dash something, so he's Mario. And those who graduate from Temsk are the future leaders of Europe. Temsic. But do you have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? Alas, I make it my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little grey cells of my brain. That is all I am trying to do, huh? So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception we're carrying out. Oui, you could say that. Not bad, eh? Here's the grand ideals, but the petty plans. This strange combination is at a charm of hilarious brothers. Si capo? Listen to me, Peppino. I have 2 things to say to you. Che, are you about to tell me one of your grand anecdotes? If you are. Clearly don't know enough Spanish, French or Italian. Well, I mean, we all know that I don't know any French. That's apparent. Well, firstly, I want you to stop calling me this capo. And secondly, we are not the Airlarius brothers. This is serious business. He just is Mario. Sure, okay. Giambello, there it is. He's just the capo's trumpa card, the furrowed brow. It is deep, capo, the furrow, and the meaning of your words. The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true? Oui, Siga. And what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you planned to defraud? Alois, I will explain it. No, Capo. Leave it to me. As you see, we both have the vivid red hair, no? At school, we were teased for this without pity. The Capo here, he was many times behind the schoolhouse crying like the Trevi fountain. We, those dogs, one day the world will respect us redheads. Every night he would bury his head in his pillow. C'est bien, Peppino. Enough. I'll explain the rest. The first step was the newspaper advertisement. About 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the notice in every paper in London. Yes, we saw that notice. It was this one, I believe, entitled To the Red-Headed League. Oui, Sega, I am honored that you have seen it. It states that the only condition for joining the League is having flame-colored hair, and that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted into the League, you could receive a weekly income of £4. The date specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at a park specified in the advertisement, and from each person present, this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And with the money, 2 francs, it was a plan most elegant, no? No, it was most dishonorable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anybody was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick. The park was described by one witness as choked with red-headed folk like a coaster's orange barrow. Excuse me. And the day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day of hiccups, before the victim was discovered. Stupid hiccups, taking a drink. Okay. Much better, hopefully. Day before victim was discovered. Yep. Crucially, these 2 men spoke face to face with every single person present that day. Oui, I have seen more red-headed people in one day than I will see in the rest of my life. See, and now every time I see the capo's hair, I feel sick to my stomach. Anyway. What have we been summoned? Why have we been summoned here today? Sorry? The date for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told. Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They've only been shown this photograph. Very good. So, Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court. The subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph. Of course, we are always ready to help with the law. Yeah, sure, okay. Always, Man of the photograph. We had more than 1,000 red-headed people to assemble in the park in Lime Street that day. But I don't recall the man in this photograph, eh, Capo? No, I don't remember him. Obviously, he is dead now, but I assure you, he was not in the park. Laura, this victim has nothing to do with us. You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place. That's testimony that's useful to us. You've given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain? Oui, I am quite certain. We did not interview this man. Nobody looking like this came to the park. This I can promise. Must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances. Wow. It's really going to be the first time in the series we're going to call somebody out. I mean, it's not going to stop them. We're still going to take the testimony and whatever. But it's the first time they're going to be like, there's a possibility you guys could be lying. Oof. With this attitude, we get to nowhere, huh? It's really a sulking now. This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated the day before the incident. It reads, Lime Street, Red-Headed League, undercover. Ah, I have the answer. Maybe there was another similar event in the park on the day in question, eh? That is ridiculous. There's no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, which means it's quite possible that's when he was killed. Very well, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination now. Ah, yes, my lord. Man on the photograph. Alright.
Hold it!
Did you? 1,000 people. That's a very big crowd. It was quite a spectacle. Redheads had come from all over the capital. See, the capo here. He has the magnetismo animali, eh? Nobody else could attract so many people. If I could be born again, I'd be the capo. All those people wanted was the money, Peppino. The £4 per week. Are you suggesting that you spoke personally with all 1,000 applicants? Oui. That we did, because every one of them paid us 5 shillings. We take their names, and we take their their money, and we take their addresses as well. Then I tell them we take some days to let them know by a post. Finito. Maybe 2 minutes a person. We start early in the morning, and we stop late in the night. So, you earned 5,000 shillings in one day. That's a small fortune. Who'd have thought there were 1,000 such gullible redheads in London to start with? One of whom was a great detective with chemically altered hair.
Hold it!
It doesn't look at all familiar. No, I don't think so. And this is a wig, eh? He was trying to trick us. Do not like the people who are trying to trick the other people. Says the con artist. Yet between them they interviewed 1,000 people with red hair. It would be unreasonable to expect them to remember every face. No, senor. I may be small. But my memory is very large. I never forget a thing. In my opinion, I do not think this man was in the park. But he's not going to give the court a definite, it seems. Capo, you didn't see a man like this, huh?
Hold it!
But according to what you said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day. Oui, that's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day. Surely then, you can't actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present? Normally the red hair is very distinctive, eh? But not when you have 1,000 redheads crawling around. Then it's just an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could give us, maybe then we would recall. That is not the line, Pippi. Remember, we do not remember it. We are sure of that fact, huh? If there was a man with a red earpiece, but his mustache did not match the color, then I do not think I could have forgotten him. Husband said those two had only been shown that photograph and they've been told nothing else at all. What if I fed them just one other detail about the victim? For example, his fish and chips. It's the only thing that could be it. Because his name is probably important to not reveal. His profession, but fish and chips, though, that's memorable as hell. I'd certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember him in this situation. What if I told you that the man was always munching on a packet of fish and chips? Do you remember a man who was eating incessantly? Not really. I was looking only at the heads of the applicants. I wouldn't have noticed the fish and chips any more than the caviar and smoked salmon. Or a spaghetti. Me, I love the spaghetti. I can tell. Really? I had no idea. Tell them again what you said before, Peppino. Si, Capo, si. I say it again and again.
Hold it!
But we only have your word for that. Si, but what else can we do, eh? True. Uffa, we are not having much of fun these days. First we are arrested, then we are shown the horrible picture of a dead man. And now you question every single thing we say. We are the victims. No, you are the criminals here. Just maybe not the criminals in this case. Eh, Capo? No, you were caught carrying out a plot to swindle hundreds of innocent people. You had to bring that up, eh? It's not fair. Eh, Capo? It's fine.
Hold it!
What do you mean by that? Cavolo, you promised not to say, eh, Capo? After we had taken all the monies that day, we should have left the country. That was my plan. I left the purchasing of the tickets to the ferry to Dunkirk to my companion there. But he bought them for the wrong day. Oops. See, but it is an easy mistake to make, huh? The 31st. Oh, I have no sympathy for you. We were an all day late for the boat because of your stupidity. And it's only because of this that so-called great red-headed detective caught us. Capo, you know what I think? This is the work of God. It is a holy punishment, eh? Peppino, for the last time. This is not only punishment. This is only your fault. Ah! Don't blame God for your unholy mistakes. You are making me sick with anger. Maybe I make a mistake, but when it's time to eat the pasta, no one is a faster. What? And I've seen the evidence. They haven't told us much we don't already know. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if it was in the inspector's diary, it seems likely that he must have gone to Lime Street that day. Yet these two both claim they didn't see him. To say, they don't appear to be telling lies. Well, they are experts at deception, don't forget. Mamma mia, indeed, yes, indeed. How's it going also? By the way, welcome to Viperland in the chat. Well, they are, yeah, don't forget, sounding plausible is their specialty. They may be lying simply to avoid being implicated in the case as well. Surely, if they were truly experts in deception, they wouldn't have been caught. Well, yes, you do have a point there. Seems to me like we need more information. Definitely. I don't doubt that. Don't recall the man in this photograph. I don't think we have anything else to show, though. Did we check this? Ah, no. Okay, that's the other direction. Yeah. Though they'd probably be taking that one back. I don't know if that helps us any. Okay. Still leaving the cruise apart. It's pretty hard. You know, all this good and still grass. Cool. Very nice. I fully intend to play it. I just don't know when. But it's going to happen. That and the new Atelier. Absolutely going to happen. Just soon. Not yet. I'll try pressing them again on the off chance something else comes to light, but this is the first time so far I'm stumped tonight. Everything else up to this point has been like, yeah, I got it. 1,000 people.
Hold it! Hold it!
Red hairpiece with this mustache. I don't know if the name would matter. They took down the names of every single person. I don't know why I didn't think of that one first. Yeah. They took the names and addresses of every person there. Certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember the situation. What if I told you that the man's name was Gregson? The man in the photograph is a Monsieur Gregson. Yes. Yeah, names, they are boring. I did not listen to any of them. Oh. It was not a real interview, eh? It was just for a show. Why would I remember the names? That's right. This changes nothing. The man in the photograph was not there, as we have already said. I see. Seems there's little to be gained from pursuing this point further. Tells him... Ah, damn it. Maybe that wasn't it. I would have assumed... Well... There's one last option there.
Hold it!
So we'll go with that. It's perfectly like me to pick the two wrong ones first. I wish it wasn't, but you know, gotta embrace who I am. So we appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. What if I told you that the man in the red hairpiece was actually a detective? The man is a photograph, a detective. Yes. It would appear he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito. I'm sorry, but this changes nothing.
Excuse me!
Does it? Something to add, Mr. De Rossi? Chef, see, I am always adding something. Parmesan, olive oil, pepper. What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance? Eh? What did he just say about the detective? Yes, that. Keep your mouth shut, Peppino. You have said enough already. But why, Capo? What is the problem? There was a man who said, I'm an inspector from Scotland Yard. What? Good Lord! I love the box. Very good. Order, order, order! Explain this volte-face in your testimony, witnesses. It is simple. A man who was at the park said to us that he was in... There was no such man. What are you saying, Capo? Have you forgotten, eh? I have forgotten nothing. Nobody like this came to the park. Basta, Capo, basta! You beat me at many things, but not two. The memory and the meals. Like I said, when it is time to eat the pasta, no one is a pasta. But you are inferior to me in every other way, so shut up.
Objection!
Well, this is infuriatingly not helpful.
Drop tired. The damage is done.
Indeed it is, sir. Oui, there was a man who came to the park, and he said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard. However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else. How can you be so sure? Because, to start with, his face is completely different. See, it is true, it's true. The man who came was a younger. His face was clean-shaven, his eyes were sadder, his chin was thinner. No resemblance whatsoever, then. Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, if you are really a detective, so show us the proof. See, the capo here, he doesn't take a no-nonsense, eh? But he was well prepared. He said he had identification. Identification? You mean official police inspector's identification? That is most unconvincing. Sorry, my lord. Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question. To be fair, no incognito... They would also not tell them, yeah, I'm an inspector. Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity? Clearly the papers were fake. Certo, Capo, you are a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another, eh? And what happened after he announced that he was a detective? He became very annoying. He said, you are under investigation. So I took his papers from him and chased him out of the park. It was fantastico, and look, here is the identification. So he stole it from the man. He had it coming. He made us very scared. He was not who he said he was. Indeed, the person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for those identification papers to be entered into evidence. But I like them. Inspector's identification has been entered into the court record. Well, now, let us return to the witness's testimony. I mean, give me a minute. Well, I suppose we should see what this inspector's identification looks like inside. No pictures, not immediately the best. Let's see what we got. Yes, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it? Out of interest, what name is given? Probably just something plucked out of the air. It's Tobias Gregson. Wait, what? This Scotland Yard insignia looks genuine to me. And how? Department and identification number details are all correct as well. Since when have you known those? Do you mean to say... Now it seems incredible, but yes. I think this is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. But that's unbelievable. This is the real thing after all. Details of the inspector's identification have been updated in the court record. I think that's all we're going to find, I assume. Alright. So presumably we have to show that at one of these. I guess I could show it there? It's the only new piece of information I have. And it is Inspector Gregson's identification. Alright, screw it. Let's go. I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Miss Lestrade. Why Miss Lestrade? What is your intention here, Counsel? Is this really a fake, or is it genuine? That is the question, which we can't answer ourselves.
Objection.
Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective would allow his or her identification to be stolen. That is the boss's, no question about it. It can't be. As I suspected, the undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed League's enrollment on the day in question was the real Inspector Gregson, carrying out an incognito investigation.
So lost.
And he's just down. He's down for the count. Order! Order! But if the boss had his identification stolen, he would have reported it straight away. I mean, he was always on me about it. You lose something, report it at once, he'd say. Could it be, then, that the inspector was physically unable to report it, like being dead? Physically? What are you saying? Unable to? You're not suggesting. Yes, it is quite possible that he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen. No. Order! 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 The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that?
I know nothing. I've done nothing.
Pull yourself together, Peppino. Wonder, you can behave a little more like a master criminal than that, no?
Now I wish I had to return to Italia.
Stop crying, Peppino, please. Otherwise, Loom, stop your whining and start talking. Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story in considerable greater detail.
I know nothing. I've done nothing.
But you will tell everything, or face the worst possible outcome. You will dry your eyes and testify again about these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them. For crying out loud, I mean, that is what they're doing. They are crying out loud. Alright, more testimony. The detective and the identification.
Is it truth is we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. We took the man's identification from him and shot him in the room next to ours. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and the next morning we let him go. He spent the night in a nice room. It was nothing like prison, really.
This is outrageous. You imprisoned the man.
But no, it was not like a prison. He was a very comfortable and a calm and a happy. Eh, Capo?
It was never part of my plan, I swear it.
Oofa, so you think it was my fault, eh? Just because I got the date of the ferry wrong. By one little a day.
Do not think it was your fault, Peppino. I know it.
No. Por favor, Capo. It's not fair.
Hardened criminals, these two. You have plenty of time for squabbling back at the prison, gentlemen.
I don't believe this.
How could he have been a real detective? Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. So on the day before the incident, Gregson spent the night confined in the pair's hideout. This is some testimony.
Hold it!
Do you realize what you're saying? You have to believe me. I never intended for that to happen. And I'm sure the detective did not intend it either. Yeah, I'm positive the detective did not intend to get kidnapped. Do you think? But there was nothing else I could do. See, nothing else. This was the first crime for the capo. He was at the end of his wits. I've told you before, Peppino, that is not the way to describe a criminal mastermind. What about this hideout of yours? An old empty house behind the park on Lime Street. We rented the place for 2 days. It was an inspired idea by the capo here. Impulsive idea, I would say. No, not impulsive. Inspired, eh, capo? What am I supposed to say to that, old Peppino? It was in the house described that you confined Inspector Gregson, was it? Oui. But you have to remember, I was under the impression that he was a pretender, not a real inspector. Doesn't quite add up, though. If you didn't think the man was a real inspector, there would have been no reason to take him prisoner, would there? No, you are right, but we couldn't be completely certain.
Hold it!
Too scared? Why? Because why had he come to the park? We didn't know. There was a chance that he had seen through my plan. And if that was the case, he would go straight to the police station to blow the whistle on us. Even if he was just feigning to be an inspector, he was up to no good, eh? Without a doubt. I think most people would agree. At least you two who are up to no good. Well, see, you may be right. Eh, capo? The point is, we were not able to escape from England immediately. That is what we had. That is why we had no choice but to take the man prisoner. What I don't understand is why the inspector felt the need to show you his identification in the first place. See, I ask myself the same question. We were writing down the names and addresses of all the people we took 5 shillings from that day. I've forgotten what name he said, but the address, it startled me. See, address Scotland Yard, Homicide Division, he said. What? He probably didn't like your face, Peppino. Anyway, I was not rude. I just politely asked him why he had said it. And that's when he started to say he was an inspector. Not long afterwards, he took out his identification. What was Inspector Gregson playing at? Tell the court what happened next. You took him back to your hideout, you say. See, we did.
Hold it!
That being this identification book here, correct? See, that is the one. What made you believe that it was a forgery? I never seen a real one, of course. But he was so suspicious, this man. Allora, I was thinking it must be false, eh, capo? Oui, it is just as Peppino has said. We were convinced it was not genuine. And so together, the hilarious brothers, we took the men captive. All we did was shove him in a locked room. Then we made preparations to transport all of the money. In for a penny, in for a pound.
Hold it!
What do you mean by a little tussle exactly? Well, it was nothing. Just a minor incident. The falso inspector, he was a real piece of the work, eh, capo? What happened? Oofa, it was a disaster. We gave him a nice room, and what does he do, huh? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape out through the ventilator. Can you blame him? We chased him, bien sir, and we caught him again. Can you blame us? Wait, you didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you? What? Who do you think we are? Of course not. I simply caught hold of him again and took him back to the room.
Excuse me.
Mr. DeRossi, is something wrong? Hey, me? Something Mr. DeRosso just said seems to make you, seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was that all about? Cavallo, at times like that, you don't want to have a capo after you, believe me. And I speak from personal experience. Personal experience? That is enough, Peppino. There's no need to say any more. The truth is, the night before we put the red-headed league plan into action, I was scared. It was not fair to the capo, but I tried to run away. It's a shame you didn't manage it. But the capo here, he came after me like the turbine, and he dragged me back into the house, kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises to prove it. Eh, capo? Bruises, you say? Ah, you want to see, huh? You want to see my fantastico bruises? That's enough now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you. What to do, huh? I show you or I don't. I show you or I don't. You do. Now. Allora, if everybody wants to see, then I do it. Ecco, you see? It is still very visible, eh? That red ring around your neck. You got that when you were dragged back to the house? See, the capo, sometimes he is very rough. I said that's enough. Peppino's neck has nothing to do with what we are talking about here. You have my word. Yes. What is your opinion, Counsel? This red ring around Mr. DeRossi's neck. I wonder, does it matter? It's important. I mean, we've seen another red ring around the neck, so I'm sure. Mr. DeRossi, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck. Hey, capo, you see? Everyone is interested in what I say, eh? Very well. You will amend your testimony as requested, Mr. DeRossi. See, if you really wanted to know. He tried to escape, but the capo put the collar on him and dragged him back, like what he did to me, see? Are you saying that red mark was caused by... See, a big collar made from the leather. Leather collar? Is this true, Mr. Rosso? What we had a Saint Bernard at home when I was younger. It is a souvenir from that time with a very strong chain. Strong chain? You put that around your friend's neck? I'm sorry, I was so angry that he was leaving me alone. You did not have to tie the chain to the leg of the bed, though, huh? I would not have tried to run again. You didn't do that to Inspector Gregson as well, did you? Treat the people equal is the capo his motto, eh? It's starting to sound a lot more like a prison all of a sudden. The capo is tough, but the capo is rough. I shouldn't have done it. So, the following morning, when he released the inspector, he added a red ring around his neck, just like me. Peppino, s'il vous plaît, leave it now. Now you know, the capo here, you don't want to tangle with him, eh? But for the inspector, it's not so bad. Okay.
Hold it!
You took away the man's freedom. However comfortable you made it sound, you were still holding him prisoner. If you say that, then I say this. There is something that takes away our freedom too, the lack of our money. So we are the prisoners as well, eh? All of us. Huh? No money, no freedom. This is the truth. It makes me mad, and it makes me sad. What can we do? Well, you feel so disenfranchised. Take money to court, although it'll cost you, of course. Oof, there you have it. You see, that is why we need the Red-Headed League, to fight for the justice. Perhaps he has a point. No, Mr. Naruhodo. All we did was to give the man a comfortable place to sleep for the night. And you say it was a prison, huh? Perhaps he has a point again. No again, Mr. Naruhodo. You should have heard him snoring. My die, if anyone was disturbed, it was us. Not much to go on, really. The testimony does make me wonder, you know? About this pocket watch belonging to the inspector. Yes, the one he treasured so much, apparently. If he was confined but not restrained as the witnesses are implying, he would still have been able to wind his watch. Very true, yes. So did Inspector Gregson actually die while he was being held captive by these redheads? In which case, is it possible that these two young men are responsible for Inspector Gregson's... To be honest, I find that hard to believe. Perhaps we should try to find out exactly what happened. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo, yes. Show room. Can't really see his neck super clear. Doesn't look like he has a ring though. The pocket watch makes sense. See, it makes more sense to present it there. If it was a nice room and nothing like a prison, he would have been able to wind his watch. But then why is this info out? I'm gonna go with my gut though, even though like gameplay-wise it's usually the thing that's added. My gut says there.
Objection!
No, I screwed it up, didn't I? Yep. It took me almost 3 hours to make one wrong call. Just saying, doing okay. Okay. There. Yeah, time for rethink. It's gotta be here?
Objection!
I'll put that one there. It's gotta be the watch. I don't know where else to... It's probably not the watch. It's gotta be something with that. we're already losing some stuff, we can probably, you know, save again just in case. Well, I'll save it in a different one though.
Hold it!
There's no red ring in the photo. Maybe that's the evidence, is that there's no... Well, maybe there is. It's so small. Maybe there is. There's still a lot of neck showing, but it could be under.
Objection!
Okay, I was about to say. Still we're trying to. So the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. No, it was not like that. It was hardly a prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was only. However you describe it, there's one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is this, Counsel? I would ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. You will see that there is no red ring visible around his neck. But that makes no sense. It was me who took the collar off the man in the morning. I saw the red bruises on his neck, just like I have. Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we'd expect to see bruising on the victim who was put into the collar more recently than Mr. DeRossi. Indeed, that is most peculiar. What we tell you, huh? We say this from the beginning, many times. Oui, Peppino is right. The man in the photograph. He is someone different from the man we held captives that night. Order! It appeared then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Loom Street, posing as an incognito inspector, was not Inspector Gregson at all. If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made the assertion itself. And we also know that the inspector had made a note about the Red-Headed League in his diary for that day, which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely. The inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling. If it were the real Inspector Gregson whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation. But equally, if they actually encountered an imposter, how did that person come to be in possession of the real inspector's identification? Does the defense have some plausible explanation, counsel? The whole thing defies explanation. It is for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Naruhodo, because these are the facts, and the facts cannot lie. No, the facts can't lie. Even when they point to something so incredible, it's almost unbelievable. Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park for the Red-Headed League's enrollment is revealed by information in the court record, I believe. Good gracious! Very tantalizing, Mr. Naruhodo. So why don't you help us all to see whatever truth it is that you've apparently seen? Who exactly was this inspector that appeared before Mr. DeRossi and Mr. Rossi? An imposter. 78 more arcs to kill. Good luck, yeah. That'll definitely get you a lot of the cool stuff. Though it seems incredible, I admit, the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no bruising could be seen on the victim's neck, the person who those two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson. In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Objection!
We found this. On the contrary, I haven't finished. What? There's no bruising on the victim's neck. The question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street, found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification? Already, I bet, yeah. See, that's alright. We tell the same story every time. Whoever this man was, the capo dragged him from a pillar to a post with the dog collar. Mon Dieu, Peppino, it was not so harsh as you say, eh? So who was that falso inspector, eh? Who was he? Clearly the defense has an idea about that. About the true identity of the man who these two imprisoned that night. I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post-haste. Who did the witnesses encounter in the park pose against Inspector Gregson? I mean, there's only one other person with a thing around their neck. So, you know, probably him. Goodness me, isn't that one of the witnesses who was in the stand in this very courtroom earlier today? A nameless man whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passersby.
Objection!
What on earth would a street seller be doing with a police inspector's identification papers? Witnesses, is this the man or not? What has happened to his lip? Ah. See, this man is not for the Red-Headed League, eh? He is looking for the Twisted Lip League, no? Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead. It seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noted something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising. What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand. Order! Bailiff! Bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom. Immediately. Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed, and identical to that of the witness besides him. Now what's going on here, eh? I've always had this, me. It's a birthmark, isn't it? A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you. Aye, something about Inspector again. I'm telling you, you've got it all wrong as usual. Raising your Monokuma and your vocal cords. Yeah, I believe that. Also, hey Potts, how's it going? Welcome to Viper Lemon Chat. Monokuma will do that. For sure. You're denying all knowledge of it? Well, of course I am. Are you trying to kill me with all this nonsense, eh? We have some characters on the stand. Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. DeRosu and Mr. DeRossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you? Do we have any choice? We are in big trouble, eh, Capo? It's quite enough dilatory chatter. Proceed with the testimony. More testimony. For more credible people. Ah, hey, a dolphin. Mr. Dolphin, no less. The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. He's right, see? You think we would forget those grand lips, eh? I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I have no interest in any red-headed league. Excuse me. I'm all alone in the world, me. I have no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? To get paid? Daily? Doesn't look at me, eh? Does it look like I could carry off a disguise with a face like this? I mean, the lip could just be swollen because you've recently injured it. But, you know, it's fine. It certainly appears that we have the wrong man. What have I been telling you? There was no need for this pointless testimony. Ugh. That's right. I'm just a simple peddler, remember? Fresno Street's all I know. How would I have come by a police inspector's identification book, eh? Well, yes, that's hard to explain, but... a brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief. Isn't there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be onto something? I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Naruhodo. Cross-examination.
Hold it!
So you say, but how can you be quite so certain? There is no need to urge your hands on the desk, Monsieur. There surely the reason is obvious, no? Because I have never before seen lips like this. Nevertheless, there's a clear red mark around Mr. Gossip's neck, and it looks very much like that left behind on the neck of your colleague by your prized collar. Mon Dieu, with your words, it's like you try to wring my neck. No, you're wringing... does look very much alike on my neck, though, eh? No, this is a birthmark, lad. The biggest lips in London, and a neck to die for. They broke the mold when they made me. For the first time in my life, I feel lucky to have been born with the red hair. I thought being Japanese made you stand out in London. So you maintain that you've never seen this man before? Oui, c'est ça. I swear to it by the flames of my eye. So fierce pride has outgrown the frustration with your hair now, has it? I don't know if anything here is delicious. Well, the pasta he was eating. I could go for some pasta right now.
Hold it!
Well, yes, I don't imagine I'll forget those lips in a hurry either. That is what I'm saying. For some reason, it makes me want to eat. How did Fabian call it? An eclair. You know, I've never seen the hair as black as yours before either. Likewise, I've never seen red hair like yours until I came to Britain. See, maybe it is a national trait, huh? Maybe all the people from this man's country have the grand lips. No, lad, I was born right here in Fresno Street, and I've never left. Oof, that is the problem, see? So you definitely didn't go to the park on Lime Street that day, Mr. Gossip. Now, how many times do you want me to say it, eh? So, you'd heard of the Red-Headed League, had you? You don't get a name like Gossip for nothing, eh? It's my business to know what's going off in town. I sold that tasty tidbit to a fair few redheads that came past me. Just between us, I even got Sandwich to cough up for it. Well, he does have a very red nose, if that counts. Who knows? But as you can see, my own hair's not got a hint of red in it. And in any case, Fresno Street's my patch. You won't catch me scudding off to some other part of town. No, sir, not likely. Well, hello, friend.
Excuse me.
What do you? Mr. de Ressol. Oui. Can I help you? Did Mr. Gossip's words just now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps? It was the other day when I was looking for a place near the park, a small house or something. To be the headquarters of your Red-Headed League, yes? I visited an housing agent in Lime Street, and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent. What? Mr. Gossip? With a housing agent? Oui, he had some kind of contract in his hand, and they were clearly discussing terms. But no, you're mistaken, chum. I've never left Fresno Street, me. Like I said before, you've mistaken me for someone else, someone with the same face. No, the capo is right. I remember it too. It was paying the man with the banknotes. With notes? Like I said, that wasn't me. It was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money. So I looked at the name on the papers. And what name was written? Mr. Gossip?
No, this a man, he lies. He tells you that he has a no name. But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone, huh? He is better than Mr. Gossip, I think, see? No!
I'm a peddler of tidbits of information, like I said, on Fresno Street, and that's it. I don't much like folks talking about my personal life. Indeed. And it is not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Very well. I shall respect your wishes, sir. The aforementioned name shall be redacted from all court records of this trial, assuming no... I have an objection! Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case. Good gracious, do you similarly object, Prosecutor Osogi? As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings. Why, never! In what capacity? Hugh Boone, the name of the leaseholder of the room. Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room. He doesn't look very shocked. I suggest, sir, that you start talking. Well, alright. Suppose that might be the case, eh? So your real name is Hugh Boone. Well, just between us, I don't like to blow my own trumpet. There's no finer peddler tidbits in town. So I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room in a fallen down backstreet downhouse. No, we were told it was actually quite expensive. You do? And once every 6 months, I go and pay the rent to the late agent on Lime Street. Hey, I remember it now. There were 2 vulgar redheads in there last time.
Aye, if either of us is a vulgar, it's not to me.
Sink again, Peppino. Why didn't you bring this up before? So like I told you already, I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit peddler as far as everyone else is concerned. No fuss. You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone. If I must. So the leaseholder's Scotland Yard had been looking for since the body was discovered has been here under our noses all along. Yeah, 6 months.
Hold it!
So, you live in that room presumably, do you? No, I don't live there. What did you think? There's no bed, is there? Just a desk. Then, why would you want to rent it? Well, I don't think I should have to say, really. Then how about the notice board in there, which was covered from top to bottom with confidential documents only the police should have access to? No, that board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along. It's only the other bits and bobs that belong to me. The desk and the chair and that. People don't generally carry enormous notice boards around with them. Yeah. The real question is, why was Inspector Gregson killed there in your room? Well, obviously, I have not the faintest idea. I mean, it's causing me no end of bother, to be honest. He looks very bothered. Seems to me that Mr. Boone would rather as little is known about his room as possible for some reason. Yes, it does come across that way. And more importantly, knowing that the scene of the crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that's really bothering me now. So I'm finally going to undo this man. Kinfolk or nothing, something like that.
Hold it!
Ah, yes. Yeah, we definitely did. Well, no, we left off before the trial, which was... you missed an investigation, but that's okay. This is probably the final trial. Some stuff has gone down. Gregson's dead, and this is the trial for his murder. that everybody says Lord Van Zieks did as the Reaper of the Bailey. And we are defending Van Zieks, because of course. Yep, the inspector. Fish and chips. Uh-huh. He is, he's pretty dead. He's pretty dead. And we're trying to solve this case, obviously. You mean you have no family? Yeah. No, none at all. I've spent my days on Fresno Street peddling tidbits to passers-by. Hoping, just between us this is, that eventually someone else with lips like mine will come along. I don't think so. You may be right. Anyway, that mark on your neck is just too much of a coincidence for us to ignore. Well, what's a fella to do then, eh? If you don't believe me, we're at an impasse. There's nothing I can do but flick my lip. Looks like I'm not going to get anywhere here, unless I can produce some proof. Basically saying I got dressed up and posed as some fancy inspector, ain't you? Well, it's beyond me how you think I could do that.
Hold it!
Yeah. Gina's about as happy about it as you are, Bots. Maybe you could, say, with a mustache or a beard to cover up that lip. Aye, perhaps. But if I was going to stick some fake facial hair on to cover up this fine specimen, I'd end up looking like his lordship over there, wouldn't I? Pardon? I assure you my lips are entirely unremarkable, and I would ask you not to cast such scrutinizing looks in my direction, Counsel. Ah, sorry, my lord. My imagination got the better of me there. Well, Inspector Gregson did wear a mustache, of course. Right, he did, so perhaps he was hiding something himself. He could barely have hidden a crumb in a mustache of that size. And anyways, the detective we spoke with had no facial hair at all. See, the capo is alright. He was a clean-shaven. It certainly seems beyond the realms of possibility that this witness could have disguised himself as the victim. Ah, it does, and it is. That's the extent of their testimony, is it? What's your feeling, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, what Mr. Boone said is undeniable. It would be all but impossible to hide those lips with any form of disguise. Perhaps yes, but nevertheless, the mark around his neck is equally undeniable, and is identical to the one that Mr. DeRossi suffered. Yeah, they did. Yes, that's true. But why does this whole disguise idea just keep playing on my mind? So what do we got? We have some strikingly similar hair and eyebrows. And that picture was found on the desk. Just casually. I mean, you could easily wear a wig, but... I think they're prompting for this. I think this is the logical thing, and I hope it's at this bit.
Protection!
Don't screw me over, game. No, come on! Okay. Damn it. Oh, he could be prompting for the picture. Why would he have a picture of somebody if he's got no kinfolk or nothing? Yeah, okay. I was a step ahead. That's okay. No, yeah, if they actually killed off Gumshoe, I'd never sleep. This is already a lot, but actual Gumshoe? No. If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why it is that among the sparse furnishings we found this photograph in the room. I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not? Oh, well... Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are. I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you so. You really don't need to bother with me. Please, just leave it alone. As the man says, leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it has no bearing on this case. Because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson. How can you be so sure? Just look at the man. No amount of disguises could ever hide those unmissable features.
Objection!
But what if we were to look at this the other way around? What do you mean? Yes, counsel, what do you mean? Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip is itself part of an elaborate disguise. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? Good witness, are you still hiding the truth from this court? If that's a disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be... Yes, that's right. There's really only one person he could really be. My lord, the defense believes it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court. No, please, no. Very well then, counsel. What is the true identity of this peddler who goes simply by the name of Gossip on the street? What even is he out here?
Take that!
Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil. I don't recall that name, counsel. Who is this Mr. Vigil? It's a name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact. This is Mrs. Vigil. What? From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night, you were being held captive by the two red-headed League men. And last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial. Those have been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course. And that explains why you've not only been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry waiting for you at the Vigil residence.
Now, just hold on a minute. I don't have the first idea.
What I'm talking about, really. It's a simple enough matter to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise.
No, please.
Bailiff, bring soap, a sponge, and a washbowl at once. Mr. DeRosu and Mr. DeRosi, you will restrain the witness.
Oui, my lord. Si, my lord.
Why would they cooperate?
No, stop. Get off. Don't.
Well, all it took is a little soap and water, you know. Yeah, I guess. They're already on trial for a separate thing. Why not? Or why make extra... Well, they've already lied a few times. Well, you know. Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witnesses, tell the court, have you seen this man before?
I don't believe it, but...
See, there is a no question. This is the inspector we saw in the park. Extraordinary. On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claiming to be Inspector Gregson, who appeared before Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi in the park, was you, disguised as the inspector, or rather, was you posing as the inspector in no disguise at all. Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at Barclay Prison. The chief warder? And your career had promise. Why, you would quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison. What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle at Fresno Street? Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years? I'm really dreadfully sorry about all this. Yes, it's true. I am Daily Vigil. And you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago. So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented. Well, evidently, there's a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. Tell you just how wretched my life has become. Yeah, clearly, as you say, clearly he's aged well. It was 10 years ago now that my employment at Barclay's chief warder came to an end. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times were hard in London, and I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison. No, I'm not. I was going to kind of wait until after his spiel here and be like, this is probably the best we're getting. But yeah, no, we're not. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I've never told her. I mean, that's true. We did find one an hour and a half ago, but that was too early. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find in Fresno Street. The scene of the very crime we're investigating. Ooh. Yes, that's right. The place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler, and transform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine. Ah, boo. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room. But that explains it. But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. And without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them. So instead, you decided to conceal your occupation from them. You also decided to conceal it from a closed courtroom with no public members in it. Only people of the judiciary. Yes. I've made such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder of the prison. Very true. To have kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment. That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson. What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth? Some years after I'd invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller, he, the inspector, that is, recognized me one day. Do you mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours? I knew him from my time working at the prison. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. From that day forward, he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him. A secret? What was it? I was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. Visit Ortiz tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress. It was always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. Those occasions, he would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially. A Scotland Yard inspector willingly relinquished his identification into your care with intent to deceive. That, as I'm sure I need not point out, is a very serious criminal offense. But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? Truthfully, do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if, well, if I end up a Kroger. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. Gained something of a second office for him. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my boon disguise, and then went as instructed to the park, armed with the inspector's identification book. Never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. Silence in the courtroom. Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered, at the hands of these two red-headed League men when they imprisoned the inspector. But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day. It was me. Oh, goodness. Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur, de la Defense, for proving it. What? Joy. Order, order, order! Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. You know what? He said it, not me. We're saving here. That's what we were looking for. There you go. That's the conclusion. Sometimes you gotta take what you can get. The worst part is, I bet you, if we went on for another 5 minutes, there'd be another chapter end. Not chapter end, but pause. But this is too good. It's handed to me on a silver platter. He said it. He said it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's good. That's what we got for tonight. Monday, Tuesday, Monster Hunter. Thursday, Monster Hunter with song request. Saturday, I'm not 100%, but let's be honest, probably Monster Hunter. And Sunday, I don't know how long this case is, but there is a chance we finish this on Sunday. There's also a chance we don't. So we'll see. It would be nifty if we did, but I don't know how long the case is. Who knows? Who knows? There's twists, there's turns, there's a lot. So, you ain't finishing Sunday. Cool. Good to know. Won't even plan on it. For the final case of the game, 2 games, really. I would expect no less. For now, we got a monster, a quote, a Discord, and it's gotta be...
Objection!
Gotta be. What else could we do? Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. This has been Viper of Viperland. And I'll see you all hunting next time.